To start, select the three curves. With the help of the gumball, hold Shift and click on the small blue sphere to extrude both upward and downward. Type 2 and press Enter to create a solid 2 millimeters thick on both sides. Return to the 4-view layout, and for better visualization, switch the display mode to Shaded. Simply hold Shift and click the display mode at the bottom of any viewport to apply it to all views. Now go to the Sub-D tab and click on the Quad Remesh command. Select the model and press Enter. In the Options window, enable the first option, Target Edge Length, and enter 0.75. Then enable all symmetry axes, X, Y, and Z. Finally, select Convert to Sub-D, enable Preview to view the result, and hide the input objects for better visibility. It's important to ensure that the final result has a loop of faces running around the entire element. You can choose Delete Input Objects, but I prefer to keep them in case I want to make changes later. Then click OK. Now select the extrusion and move it to a different layer so we can easily hide it. Here we have our base Sub-D. To make editing easier, in the Sub-D tab, enable Symmetry. It's important to activate this from the front view. Then select the object and in the command bar, activate the X-axis option. Directional guides will appear. Since we want to edit the top, we need symmetry reflected at the bottom. Click Flip in the command bar so the arrows point upward. Press Enter. Now the dark side adopts the shape, and the light side is the editable one. Then, while holding Ctrl+Shift, double-click an edge to select the entire loop. Press Delete to remove it and create a smoother element. We'll also remove interior edges to simplify the geometry and reduce unnecessary detail. And later, we'll delete the outermost edges to achieve a smoother curvature. With the element now smoothed, we're ready to begin the editing process. Select the inner loop and scale vertically using the gumball. Notice that it only affects that part. Undo this, then do the same using Soft Transform. The visible sphere marks the affected area. Select a reference point, then scale vertically. The result is much smoother. Leave the curvature to your preference. Take your time to refine the curvature until you're satisfied with the shape. Delete another internal edge loop for extra smoothness. In the Sub-D tab, click Remove Symmetry, then select the object to deactivate it. From the top view, create a new symmetry along the X-axis. Check that the arrows point downward and press Enter. From the perspective view, select the loop on the lighter side and use Soft Transform to scale it. As before, select the influence point and scale vertically with the gumball to create a soft arc. Take your time to refine the curvature until you're satisfied with the shape. Once you're happy with the curvature, it's time to disable Soft Transform, as we won't be needing it anymore. Then deactivate Soft Transform by clicking it with nothing selected. In the command bar, click on Enable to toggle it to No, then press Enter. Now remove symmetry. To begin placing the gems on our element, we'll first split it in half. Start by hiding the reference curves to get a cleaner view. Then, click on the Split command in the top left corner. Select the object you want to divide and press Enter. In the command bar, choose Edge Loop. Double-click to select both the outer and inner center loops. Press Enter again. The object will now be split, and you can delete the bottom half to focus on the upper part, where we'll place the gems. To continue, go to the Diamond tab and select the Pave command. Add the model to the selector. For this model, we will be adding a series of stones, gradually decreasing in size. The sizes are as follows: 1.3, 1.2, 1.1, 1, 0.9, 0.8. This gradual transition will help us create a smooth and elegant flow along the piece. Once added, select size 1.3 and place some reference gems. Starting with a center stone, you can enable display mode to view them more clearly, then activate vertical symmetry to place the rest. Use the guides to leave space between each gem, aligning the outer circle of the new gem with the edge of the previous one. This way, the stones will be evenly and correctly positioned. In this case, we'll place 5 more gems in a straight line. Even if you see some of the stones, like the last 2 highlighted in red, don't worry, we'll adjust them later using the compute function so they fit automatically. Right-click to exit editing mode. Now select all the stones, lock them to prevent movement. Once the stones are locked, they appear in gray. Enable symmetry on both axes and click Automatic. You'll see the model gradually fill with stones of the selected sizes. You can make changes at any time. Once computation ends, examine the model and manually add stones where needed. Just select a size and place them. Even if they appear red, they'll adjust once recomputed. Add gems in necessary gaps, then right-click and compute again. Repeat until satisfied. You can delete, move, or add stones. You can also move the gems to fill any gaps and add new ones as needed. Take your time. This is the most important part. Keep adjusting until the layout feels right and there are no large empty spaces. When ready, we'll create prongs. In the Prongs tab, adjust parameters. Diameter, 0.6 millimeters, over girdle, 0.3 millimeters, under girdle, 0.3 millimeters, manufacturing extension, 0.3 millimeters. Then click Automatic Generation and wait for RhinoArtisan to process. The time depends on the number of gems. Once complete, prongs are automatically added with your parameters. Review the model and add extra prongs as needed. You can change dimensions, but for this model, use at least 0.4 millimeters diameter. Fill any remaining gaps. Again, you can add or remove prongs using the Add or Remove buttons. Take your time. Once prongs are finished, go to the Cutters tab. Select the fourth preset, activate them, and confirm to create the cutters. The first part of our model is nearly complete. At the bottom, we see an open area that needs closing. First, select the lower edges using Ctrl plus Shift and double-click. With the gumball, extrude downward to create a margin surface with the prongs and gems. Then in the Sub-D tab, use the Offset command. Select the Sub-D, ensure Solid is set to Yes in the command bar, and click Flip to offset inward, following the direction of the arrows. Now type 0.8 millimeters in the command bar. Press Enter to finish. Now the offset has been created. To soften it, select the lower edges and use the Remove Crease command. First, select the lower edges using Ctrl plus Shift and double-click. Then, in the Sub-D tab, use the Remove Crease command. Once we have smoothed the offset, we will proceed to cut the solid with the cutters. Now select the surface and the prongs, and in the Solid tab, use the Boolean difference command. Select the cutters and press Enter to cut. The first piece is nearly finished. Now we will use the reference curves to create a yet honeycomb and finish our piece. Show the reference curves again and then select them. Now we'll go to the Curve tab. Perform an offset of 0.4 millimeter on the outer curve inward to create a joining margin. For clarity, select the surface and type Hide to make it invisible. Select the curve you created and change its layer so you can select it more easily. Then select the curve and type Show to reveal the solid while keeping the curve selected. Go to the Accessories tab and use the Honeycomb command to create a pattern. First, add the selected curve to the selection set. I used parameters of distance, 1.5 millimeters, thickness, 0.4 millimeters, height, 0.7 millimeters, but feel free to adjust to your taste. Don't worry if it sticks out now, we will align it. Once it looks the way you want, accept the command. As we can see, the honeycomb sticks out quite a bit. We need to align it properly. To do this, we will show all the views, and from the front view, we will select the honeycomb. Then we'll go to the Transform tab. In the Align submenu, select Bottom. Then switch front view to Wireframe to better see the alignment point. Now click on the bottom part of the model so it aligns to that height. Voila! Everything is perfectly aligned. For the final step, we'll reopen the cutouts in our calibrate style piece, which are now obstructed by the honeycomb pattern. Select the honeycomb and hide it by typing Hide. As we can see, we have many curves on screen. both the ones created by the honeycomb and the original reference curves. First, right-click on the layer color of the curves to select them, then type Hide to hide them. Next, press the middle mouse button to open the quick command menu. Choose Invert Selection. As you can see, we now have both the pink curves and the honeycomb selected, and the rest of the elements are hidden. Select the central curves and, with Shift held, extrude them using the gumball until they pass through the honeycomb. Then go to the Solid tab and use Boolean Difference. Select the honeycomb and press Enter. Then select the cylinders and press Enter again. And now the first part of the tutorial is complete. Our first element, with a perfect pave and honeycomb finish, is done. Save this model and let's move on to the second part. For this second part, we'll create a second anchor chain, this time with smaller dimensions. The process will be exactly the same. Since the steps are identical, I'll speed up the video, and we'll return to normal speed for any parts that differ from the first section. The first difference compared to the initial part of the model is the gem size. Since this model is slightly smaller, a size of 1.3 millimeters would be too large, so we will remove it. For this version, we will use gems in the following sizes: 1.1 millimeters, 1.0 millimeters, 0.9 millimeters, and 0.8 millimeters. Start by placing a 1.10 millimeter stone at the center. Then, with symmetry turned on, add the rest. Once the reference chain is done, activate the automatic model to place the gems. Keep adding and moving gems until you are happy with the result. Next, just like before, set the parameters for prong creation. Diameter, 0.6 millimeters over girdle, 0.3 millimeters. Under girdle, 0.4 millimeters. Manufacturing extension, 0.3 millimeters. Then click on Automatic. Add the remaining prongs manually to fill all the empty spaces. Once the prongs are done, go to the Cutters tab and select the fourth preset. Activate them and accept the command. The entire procedure is the same as in the previous piece, so I'll speed up the video again to avoid making it too long. If you have any doubts, I recommend going back to part 1, which is identical, and reviewing any steps you need. And with that, the second part is complete. If you need more time, feel free to go back to part 1 and follow along step by step. Just adjust the gem sizes accordingly, and you're all set. Now let's finish the model by creating a beautiful pair of earrings. To start, go to the Accessories tab and use the Bail command to join the two anchor chains. Activate Shaded Mode to better visualize the model. We'll edit the element without selecting any preset. Disable the O-ring option. Now select Asset 012 as both the top and bottom profile. Then set the parameters for both profiles. Width 1.9 millimeters, height 0.9 millimeters. For the air gap, set the following: top diameter 2.6 millimeters, bottom diameter 3 millimeters, internal distance 6 millimeters. We'll also adjust starting on top, bottom, and the curve tension. Don't forget to change the second profile as well using the same parameters. This ensures both sides are identical. Using the gumball, rotate the element 90 degrees along the x-axis. Then with the element selected, type Artisan Center to center it. Now that we have our connecting bail ready, we will now add our anchor chains to position them correctly. Drag the first 3DM anchor chain file into the viewport, then click Import. To make positioning easier, move the bail to a separate layer and lock it. This way you can select the anchor chain more easily. Rotate it 90 degrees and position it so that it fits inside the bail without touching it. Take your time to position the anchor chain properly. Use the different viewports and visualization modes to help you place it accurately. You can move the first anchor chain to a different layer if it makes things easier, and lock it to position the second piece more comfortably. Repeat the same process with the smaller anchor chain, placing it at the top part of the bail. We're almost done with the earrings, and they're already looking amazing. If you want, delete any unused curves or elements to keep the model clean. To finish our earring, we'll go to the Curator panel on the left side. There you'll find a wide variety of findings that you can use to complete your model. In this case, we'll use a small omega class. Assign it to one of your layers and use the gumball to place it just above the bottom opening of the small anchor chain. Make sure it doesn't stick out too much or overlap with any gems. Finally, add a post of 0.9 millimeters from the same Curator panel and position it at the top, aligning it with the metal of the anchor chain. And that's it. Your model is complete. The last step is to create the pair. Select the entire model, go to the Rendering tab, use the Pair command, set your preferred distance and angle, and you're done. We'll include a reference render of the model so you can get an idea of the final look. But we're excited to see your own results. Don't hesitate to share them with us.